Hello, I am Anna Miller, co-host and associate producer for The RPM Show, and welcome to my double feature review. This is my first double feature review that I've done so far, and I'm really hoping it's a good one. Now, the first movie that I will be reviewing is Piranha 3D. Now, the plot of this movie is very simple. A huge tremor that causes a small quake at the bottom of Lake Victoria in Arizona causes a huge crack in the seabed that just opens up. And from this giant opening comes a huge army of lethal prehistoric piranha fish that have been extinct, as we find out later, for 2 million years. Now, it centers around spring break, in which thousands and thousands of college kids are coming to Lake Victoria to do what they do on spring break, which is now a big thing in Miami and Cancun. Now, and of course, they soon find themselves at the top of the lunch menu for these fish. So that's the basic plot of this movie. Now, first thing you should know about this movie is, I'm not going to hold anything back. This movie is pretty much a bad movie. Now, with that being said, don't let that discourage you from going to see it, because even though it's a bad movie, it is also a good movie. Now, I will explain that a little more in depth later. Now, for the first thing I will say, one of the things that elevates this movie to, a huge good status is the fact that it's well cast. The cast of this movie includes Elizabeth Shue, Ving Rhames, Jerry O'Connell, and of course two cameo appearances, two great appearances I might say, from Christopher Lloyd, who actually lampoons his persona from Back to the Future, and then of course Richard Dreyfuss, who was actually in the beginning of the movie, who lampoons his appearance in Jaws, which is actually, if I may say, one of the great cinema masterpieces ever made. But anyway, now back to the movie. Now, I say this is a bad movie, but it's also a good movie. Most of that is because this is a movie that is part of a genre that I'm actually a huge fan of. It's the B movie, the B monster movie. It follows a long line of like those B science fiction alien invasion movies of the 50s, the B science fiction creature features of the 50s, and of course that led into the 60s and the 70s, the early 80s with the these sea monsters, creature features, all that sort of thing. This movie falls into that line, which is a genre that I'm, as I said, a huge fan of. Is simply the plot is so bad, and the acting is, of course, not first class. It's not Oscar material. It's just so good that you can't help but not ignore the fact that it's also a good movie. Now, I kind of consider this movie this year's Snakes on a Plane. Where that movie was, of course, just a bad movie, but it's so good that you cannot help but love it. It's simply that good, or that it's bad, but it's also good. It's one of those movies that it's pure escapism. It just simply you gotta love it. It's so bad that it's so I'm saying this all over again, but it's so good. But anyway, it's now the 3D thing. I want to actually say, now, if you have listened to our other shows or seen my previous videos that I've done so far this year on stuff like Toy Story 3 or The Last Airbender, for example, you have also heard me say that I am a huge opponent of 3D. Now, in that cases of Toy Story 3 and Last Airbender, I was a huge opponent of 3D. I just think it wasn't necessary. And of course, if you listen to our other shows, me and my two other hosts are huge opponents of the 3D fever, because it's simply, happening everywhere. Every movie's being made into 3D. If it's a sequel, a remake, it's going to be in 3D. But for this movie, I must say that the 3D in this movie was actually very good. It was well worth it. The 3D shots they specifically put in there for the 3D were well timed and just well planned. Now, with the 3D thing being great, now the shots they use for the 3D are, of course, the shots that are going to lead me into this word of warning for you if you're going to go see this movie. Now, the basic word of warning that I'm giving you: if you have if you are sickened by the sight of blood, then it's best that you skip this movie, because the carnage in this movie is absolutely pervasive. It is just this amount of carnage I have never seen before. Now, about people get shredded. I mean, I'll spare the details. I will just say people get eaten left and right, and it is just an absolute mess. And that's also one of the reasons that it's a good movie. It's just the body count is absolutely through the roof. It's just, you can't help but laugh at it, because it's, it's one of those, quote unquote guilty pleasures. You know, it's so bad that it's, you know, you just can't help it. Just, you want to go see it, and you do, and you love it. But anyway, so I definitely recommend Piranha 3D. Not for the squeamish. You know, if you hate the sight of blood, don't go see it. But if you're looking for a movie that you're going to have a fun time at, that you have no expectations for, no high hopes for, go see Piranha 3D. It is well worth it. You will not be disappointed. I mean, just the cast, the, you know, just overall, you know, emphasis of it. You know, it's absolutely worth it. It's just, you will not regret it. Now, with that being said, I will be moving over to my second review movie that I'll be reviewing. It's called Vampires Suck. Now, for those of you out there who have not been paying attention to the plot or pretty much already know what it's about, it's Vampires Suck is a lampoon or a parody, a spoof of the Twilight series, which is now one of the highest-grossing franchises in history, movie history. Now, the movie, I think, lives up to its title. Vampires Suck. In this case, the movie sucks. It was a bad movie, and most of this because I think this is another huge tragedy of trailers. Now, I say that because I actually watched the trailer like a month ago when they released it. So I was excited because I laughed hysterically at the trailer because, you know, I'm a huge anti-Twilight guy. You know, I hate to say that for all you female fans out there, but just, you know, it's just, I'm just getting that out there right there in the open. Hopefully you don't hold that against me, because I certainly don't want you to either. I thought it would be a good movie for those people who are very anti-Twilight. You know, something for them to go laugh at because they can go ahead and laugh at all those, you know, Team Edward, Team Jacob people. You know, all those, you know, really weird people. But anyway, what ended up happening was they put all of the funny stuff in the trailer. So when the movie comes out and you sit down and watch it, you don't laugh because you know what you're going to see and you know what to expect. And when it comes down to it, you've seen all this. You've seen the movie already. You saw it in a 2.5-minute trailer, which pretty much summed it up completely. And unfortunately, that has been a victim to half a dozen movies that I've seen in the past, like, for example, Funny People and Death at a Funeral, where they put all the good stuff and the funny stuff in the trailer that you want people to laugh at in the movie, and it's just, you kill it. It's simply, and then of course you go and see it, and then word of mouth gets out, and then you have yourself a flop. And this needs to stop. So, but anyway, I mean, the trailer didn't do it justice because, as I said, the trailer was funny and the movie was unfunny because you've seen the movie already. So anyway, I do not recommend Vampires Suck. But if you're a huge anti-Twilight person, you know, go see it because it's obviously right up your alley. Now, I do recommend Piranha 3D, as I said before. I do not recommend Vampires Suck. I give 2 thumbs up. Very enthusiastic thumbs up, I should say. I hope I don't steal this from Roger Ebert or those guys. But 2 great, you know, smiles for Piranha 3D. Now, thank you for this is my first double feature review, and I hope it was a good one. I hope it, you know, informs you on everything. Now, until then, keep in tune with the RPM show. Go to our website, check out our Facebook page, our MySpace page, and our YouTube page where we have all of our other videos. And of course, we are still on iTunes. We're not letting that slip away. We will be on iTunes forever, so we're not going anywhere. Until then, go see if you want to go see both these movies, go right ahead. I will not stop you. So until then, I will be back talking about some other movie that hopefully comes out next week. I'll be looking at my schedule and seeing what comes out this week, and I'll make a decision on that. So until then, have a good and safe week, and I will see you at the movies. So stay with us and keep it whatever. Just, you know, have a nice day, guys.